for convening this important hearing. People in my district are no strangers to gun violence. This year alone, we have had 73 homicides just in the city of St. Louis with a population of less than 300,000 people. Countless incidents of domestic violence, child abuse, and other forms of traumatic community violence. For years, we've watched our neighborhoods, our schools, parks, and infrastructure be underfunded or actively defunded. My hometown has been devastated by a lack of access to trauma prevention and mental health services. At the same time, Black and Brown communities in my people in our community are disproportionately impacted by mass incarceration, mass deportations, and over policing. We must expand our understanding of gun violence, as well as propose solutions to attack gun control as a social issue rather than carceral. Preventing gun violence means prioritizing the well being of our communities by bolstering social programs and providing resources and support for those who need it the most. Pastor Grady, I extend my sincerest empathy to you and your family for the trauma you endured following the El Paso massacre. I thank you for being here to speak on behalf of the countless victims of gun violence who have endured a similar fate. In the interest of preventing gun violence before it happens, can you speak to the utility of community violence prevention programs?
Yes, I believe the community-based violence intervention programs really have a proven track record of being effective and are vital in ensuring the safety of our communities. It's relationship-based, it's outreach strategies, it's working with law enforcement as well as with the faith-based community and to educate and to provide resources. I mean, human resources, funding that we might be able to arrest some of the ills that continue to perplex our communities. And again, one of the keys of achieving a more just and peaceful America will be focusing on significant investment of strategies that reduce violence, that brings communities together to expose the darkness, to offer the light, because it's not just one particular thing that causes mass shootings. It is a community, it is a dis-ease, it is a not at ease in our communities based on resources, and then incarceration rates. Again, and what happens once a person is released from institutionalized uh, uh, places where they are supposed to be rehabilitated. And as you know, I'm from St. Louis. Many times when someone is released from incarceration, they drop him off maybe a block from where they picked him up. Right. So back into that environment consistently. So I believe, again, that if we could continue to get funding for our community-based intervention programs, we can continue to work with the faith-based community and to invite our law enforcement agencies to be more community-based, we can begin to arrest this situation and circumstance. Thank you so much, Congresswoman.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Pastor Grady. Mr. Skaggs, as Policy Director of the Giffords Law Center, can you speak to how these laws are applied in practice? And specifically, can you describe potential unintended consequences of these gun safety policies for Black and Brown communities who are often the ones that are disproportionately criminalized and charged and prosecuted for firearms? The unintended consequences.
I think there are serious structural problems with our criminal justice system and mass incarceration in this country, and all too often Black and Brown Americans bear the brunt of those structural problems. And I think it's critically important that any of the policies that we're looking at, we look very carefully at enforcement to ensure even-handed, fair enforcement, and there's a very, very long way to go. But I think the policies we're talking about today are important steps forward to addressing this ongoing crisis. And I think we need to pass the bills that we've been talking about.
Thank you. I firmly believe we have the power to transform our community with intentional and deliberate policies that encourage the overall health and the well-being of those who have the least. Carceral solutions only serve to exacerbate these issues and increase the number of interactions between civilians and the police. It is time to fully fund and support community-led and develop solutions to address the root causes of trauma and of gun violence. We cannot police our way to public safety. Thank you, and I yield back.